Hello, bonjour, and welcome back to another YouTube live. And congratulations for clicking on this video, which is about how to learn French with meditation, because it is quite a niche topic, but it is one that I feel is very, very important. It certainly is very important to me because the research around this is just starting at the moment as we speak. And I think it's a very valuable area to explore, but it also doesn't attract as much interest as other topics such as, say, verbs or vocabulary. So if you're here right now live, or if you are watching the replay, please give yourself a pat on the back for your interest into a quite occult topic, a topic that is, promising, but also a bit not as taken seriously as other topics that we have explored before. So let's see who's here. We have Connie, with whom I've already had a little chat before, because she is a teacher's pet, or as we say in French, la chouchou du prof, which we translate more as teacher's favorite. And we have Linda here, of course. And S, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. If you could type your name again, that would be amazing. And we have Laurie. Bonjour, Laurie. I'm absolutely delighted that you're here too. I know that you watch a lot of those replays, even when you can't make it live. So it's amazing to have you here. Oh, and Stephanie, of course, Stephanie. So, yep, thank you for being here for this new one. As usual, we have a worksheet, which if you don't have it yet, you can get it on my Telegram channel. It's completely free, and you'll find the link in the description below. By the way, in case you're new here, welcome. My name is Angel Pretot. I'm a French learning coach. You can work with me one-on-one, or you can join some of my group programs, and you'll find all the links for that in the description below as well. So I don't really want to elaborate. But as usual, I will be live for roughly an hour, typically from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. That's 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. In Central Europe. That means in Paris, or also for me here in Vienna, Austria, which is where I live. And as usual, I have prepared some content that I plan on sharing with you and teaching you. If you have questions about the topic of the day, which today is how to learn French with meditation, you can feel free to ask the questions as I speak, and I will answer them. And there will be time after the planned content for any question that you have about French learning. So that could be anything that you have seen recently, or really any question that you have, be it about working with me, about some of my courses, or about any other topic that we have spoken about before, or that you might want me to speak about in the past. As long as I get a chance to answer, as long as it's close enough to my area of expertise, and I can either give you a definite answer or take an educated guess, all those questions are welcome. Just don't ask something that's completely outside of my area. Otherwise, I will just tell you that, sorry, I don't know. But yeah, so let's get into it. And first, I would actually love if you guys who are live here could share your own experience with meditation. Have you ever meditated? Have you ever tried? Do you have a regular meditation practice? Where are you at with that? Because that would really help me know exactly how to tune this information. Because if I'm speaking to only a group of meditation experts, I would probably speak then if I am speaking to mostly people who have never meditated. This content for the beginners or for people who don't have a lot of experience with meditation. There are to date 3 meditation tracks on this channel. There is a little link also in the description to those tracks. And the last one I published this week, actually, it's a quantum jumping track for thinking in French. So I'm very curious to see if that will work, for whom it will work. So if you listen to this track, I actually strongly recommend that you try this track and that you leave a comment for me below that track after you've tried it to see how it works, because it's a wild guess at this stage. I don't know what will be the results and if they will be consistent for different people. So in that video, I did not really share that it's a very big wild guess, because I didn't want to introduce any sort of negative placebo or nocebo effect in the track itself. I really want you to be going in with an open mind and think that it will work, because if you don't think it will work, then it will act against you, right? But yeah, I'm telling you honestly, because you're my live people from the Sunday, so I don't actually know how well it works. It's just a try. It's an educated guess. I just created this tool to see what will happen. It might work, it might not work, it might work for you. So please try it and let me know how it goes, because I want to know. I want to know how it goes, and I want to see. I want to collect some information to do some more research on this topic, like I said. So Connie is saying she tried and failed and she's not able to relax enough to do it. Oh, that is interesting, because in theory, meditation should be the thing that relaxes you. You shouldn't be relaxed before. So that's, yeah, I don't really know where that comes from. That's something to keep in mind. Stephanie is saying she tried meditation a few times unsuccessfully. Linda is saying she has a regular practice, as I know. Yes, it's true, I know that. Meditate in the morning, energy clearing usually, and in the evening, and at other times if something comes up. And Nora is saying, j'ai médité pendant plusieurs années à travers l'art martial. Oh yes, if you have a martial art practice, of course you also have a meditation practice, because this is strongly connected. All right, so mostly beginners. I do have one of my talking points for today is how to get started. So I will share what I know about that, and hopefully that will help you. Before that, I have a little list of scientifically proven benefits of meditation. I just actually did this research because I did find it really interesting. And those are the things that I found on the internet about, what science proved. So the things that you could get, and you can write down the ones that are most interesting for you here in the first part of the worksheet. So the emotional benefits would include gaining a new perspective on stressful situations, building skills to manage your stress, increasing self-awareness, focusing on the present, reducing negative emotions, increasing imagination and creativity, and increasing patience and tolerance. By the way, these are things that I did experience myself. I should actually share my own experience with meditation. Sorry, I didn't even think of that because it was so obvious I didn't write it down. But yeah, I've been meditating. I meditate pretty much every day. Sometimes I forget because I'm not very prone to doing anything every day. I just really try to do things sometimes, but it doesn't really stick. But yeah, meditation is something that I do really consistently. And it was a bit like my results were a bit haphazard until I took a Silva training in 2019, so 2 years ago, and that completely changed my my way of working with meditation. It was really impressive. So I put a link to a Silva Ultramind program. Like the last thing on your worksheet is a link to that program, but an audible version. I did pay more than in total 1,000 euros to attend that seminar, and it was some of the best money I ever spent, because before I went there, I couldn't really meditate. Like I was more in like your situation where I can sometimes relax, but sometimes not. And it was kind of really random, the effects that I had. And after the seminar, I was just able to get into a meditation state like this, like within, I mean, they say in the advertisement that it would take you 60 seconds to get there. I think it takes me less than 60 seconds, to be honest. So it is really like, if you have a hard time with it, I definitely recommend the Silva Ultramind. Absolutely not sponsored. It's just what I did, which was a complete game changer for me. So because of that, now I can meditate every day. And if I feel a bit stressed or just not in my best mood, I can easily just take a moment to meditate. So that's something that I do a lot. Linda is saying, you guys want to learn the Silva Ultramind program. It has helped me to eliminate pain. And I was in chronic pain every day. I was taking 1,600 milligram ibuprofen daily, and I have not taken any since January. Yeah, this is the kind of thing that you can do when you get to use the Silva the Silva method. It's called the Silva method. Ultramind is a brand name, if you will. But if you get to use it regularly, that's the kind of effect that you can have. And it's also scientifically proven. I also have a list of meditation that may help you manage symptoms of conditions. You know, with scientific research, you always have to be very cautious. So they say it may help. Things like anxiety, asthma, cancer, chronic pain, depression, heart disease, high blood pressure, irritable bowel syndrome, sleep problems, and tension headaches. I think tension headaches is one of the biggest contribution of the Silva method, which it really helps with that. Like there is a special headache relief technique, and whenever I have a headache, I use it, and I generally don't keep my headache for very long, and it's quite impressive the way that it works. So yeah, all of this are good reasons to try and use meditation. And what we are trying to find out on this channel is, can you use meditation successfully to learn French? And that is why I create some meditation tracks. That is also why I have a full workshop on the French Fluency Accelerator, which is about energy clearing, which is a form of meditation. And I don't know where I was going. Yes, so we are basically working to use these techniques towards learning French. And some of my students, I mean, actually many of my students have already reported some benefits. So it suggests that it does work. And that's why we are keep looking into it. So among the things that I noticed myself for the effects, so I had, like I told you, general health improvement, especially emotional health, but also sleep, stress reduction, less cravings as well. Like it really helps if you have food cravings to just be like, actually, no, you don't have cravings after you meditate successfully. So that's pretty cool. Also being more focused, which is great for me because I have a tendency to be scattered. But if I meditate, I can target my energy a bit more, like a lot more successfully, actually. And one thing that blew my mind a few years ago when I noticed it was that it improves my ability to code switch. So code switch means switching from one language to another. I have a couple of times found myself in 2 conversations at the same time, one in Spanish, one in German, with none of them being languages that I really master well, but I was able to switch between both just because of my meditation practice and because my brain was just very trained to be focused on short span of time on something very, very specifically. To give you some context, that was back when I was living in Berlin. At that time, I had a really big flat. Actually, I still have it, but it's rented now. And I had several rooms which I could rent out, and I had lots of Airbnb guests in those rooms. And they were coming from all over Europe, sometimes from all over the world. And I did have to find a way to communicate with them with any of the languages that we would have in common. So that would be French, English, German, Spanish mostly. So, and sometimes several guests would ask me different questions at the same time, but I did manage to code switch between the different languages. And that blew my mind when I realized that I could do this, because normally what I would have done would have been, okay, sorry, like I finished this conversation and then I turn to you. But yeah, it was greatly improved. So please don't think that it's something that I can do because I'm a polyglot and yada yada. I was a polyglot before, I couldn't do it. But after I learned to meditate, I could actually do it successfully. So that's, something not to discount. Like the meditation really does alter how your brain works for the better. Connie's saying, I think I have a mental block because of my son. I will try again. That sounds possible. That is the kind of problem that I would bring to my energy healer, Jackie McGinn. If you want, I can send you her contact. But she's pretty good at removing all sorts of mental blocks, so that really helps. But yeah, you can try again or try a different one maybe. Laura is saying, if you allow a glass of murky stormwater to stand, eventually the dirt settles and you are left with only clear water. Yeah, that's actually true. It's a good metaphor for meditation, because if you can stay still and quiet your mind, then everything will clear up. But the challenge is staying still and quiet your mind, not having your mind race so much. That's something that the Silva method helps me with tremendously. So how you can use meditation specifically to learn French, point 2 of this worksheet. So first, you can actually use meditation to specifically target learning skills, self-confidence, or even learning French with some guided meditation tracks, like the one I was mentioning about in this channel. We have 2 tracks that are with quantum jumping, which is a special meditation technique, and 1 track, which is just a general guided meditation to open your mind to French. So, and you can find lots and lots of guided tracks on YouTube for everything that you can think of. So if you want a meditation for confidence, you will find a plethora of tracks. If you want a meditation for better sleep, there will be a plethora of tracks, and so on. So anything you can think of, type meditation for, and I'm sure you will probably find it. One that you cannot find is international communication. I was very surprised that it didn't exist, so I started writing a track for that, but it's not ready yet. I will definitely make it in the future. I have a list of at least 10 tracks that I want to make, just because when you start making them, you get more ideas. So I just have to find the space to make them and probably find someone to edit them, because right now we do not have a good video editor on the team, and it takes me a lot of time to make pre-recorded videos or make a track like the one that I released on Monday. So I'm working on it, but it might take a little bit more time just because we don't have those skills on the team. And if I have to do it, it takes me a long time. Another thing that you can do, which I also have a track that I'm preparing, is energy clearing. Like I was saying, there is a full workshop about energy clearing in the French Fluency Accelerator, which you can have the link to that below. I do plan on releasing that workshop separately soon. There is also a workshop about manifesting techniques for learning French, which will be released probably next week or the week after that. But for now, it's only the French Fluency Accelerator students who can have it. But I totally recommend those two workshops because they're really amazing. And it's the kind of thing that you will never find, not never, but you cannot find outside of the French Fluency Accelerator. No one has created, to my knowledge, no one else has created that because, like I was saying at the beginning, it's a rather niche topic on which the research is just slightly starting, basically, but it's very promising. And the whole idea of energy clearing or visualization and all those techniques is to use some imagery that helps reprogram your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind does not actually understand language, although you can use programming statements that helps, but it works better or at least as well with images. So that's why we use energy clearing and things like, visualizing energy, washing off your body. We don't really know if it's a real thing or not, the energy, but the thing is, it does not matter. Like, it's just like quantum jumping. I have several tracks for quantum jumping. The idea behind quantum jumping is that you visit a parallel universe where another version of you lives, and that other version of you has some quality that you desire, and then you can gather it by merging with that version, and then you come back into this universe. Do we really visit another universe? Yeah, I guess it depends on your belief, but it doesn't actually matter because the whole idea behind it is to impress the idea on your subconscious so that you actually gain abilities. So it does not really matter whether you believe or not that you visit an alternate universe or that energy is entering your body to wash out your blocks. We don't really care. The whole idea is that you use this imagery to communicate with your subconscious. That's the whole point. So those are the kind of techniques that you can use. And if you are a lower intermediate student or more, if you speak any French, like for example, if you can speak French as well as Laurie does right now, you definitely can use it. You can meditate in French directly. And I have made a list, so it's really useful for you to get the worksheet, because here is a list of links, and those are all YouTube channels that contain meditations in French. So guided meditation tracks that are 100% in French. And then that's really cool because you can do your daily French bath and your meditation at once at the same time. So it's like ultimate multitasking. Get your meditation done and get your daily French bath done. If you're a complete beginner, it might be a bit intimidating. You can still try. If you're a very big beginner at French and also at meditation, it might be too much. In this case, I would recommend using rather the tracks that I have on my channel, which can help you ease into practicing more meditation in French. For example, my track, which is called Open Your Mind to French, contains a little bit of French speaking in it. And that allows you to be relaxed and also have your mind open to French. Like, I don't have a better way of saying it, to be honest. The whole idea is that sometimes you don't understand French, not because you don't have the ability, but because you have some sort of mental resistance, which is very natural. Like, we all have a mental resistance to what is foreign. That is the origin of, that is basically what allows us to define an identity and to know what is ours and what belongs to someone else. But of course, if you're trying to learn a language, it can be detrimental because your goal in learning a language is to adopt something that's foreign and make it yours. So that is a situation where it is really useful to be able to talk to your subconscious and be like, yeah, I understand you have this resistance, but you don't actually need to. Look, it's safe to adopt this new language. So that is why I have made this track, Open Your Mind to French. And it's a great way to start easing into it. Or another way that you can get into the French-speaking tracks is to use the new track that I've made, which is Quantum Jumping for Thinking in French. I think it's called Start Thinking in French Now, Quantum Jumping track, something like that. It's the latest on my workshop, on my channel. Well, before this one, obviously. But so you can find it fairly easily. It might be linked in the description, but the whole idea of this track is that the first half is in English. And then in that half, you go into a parallel universe and you meet your quote unquote twin self, right? Which is the exact same person as you who lives in that universe. But the difference is that they think in French. They have a French thought process all day, every day. Then you merge with that person with the goal of gathering the rhythm. That's how we call that. That's how we call it in quantum jumping. And then I switch to French because now that you have merged with this person, you're also supposed to be thinking in French. So we take it for granted that you are. And that is why the second half of the track is in French. And after you have taken this track, you can then jump into your French bath, for example, and listen to a podcast or listen to a French meditation. You can stack them, like quantum jumping to think in French and then French meditation. And that should help you understand more of those content, either of your guided meditation in French or of your French bath, whatever it is that you use for that. If you don't know what a French bath is, that means you're new, so welcome. I have made a lot of content speaking about the French bath, so I'm not going to elaborate a lot, but the French bath is basically the immersion practice that you have. You need to have some French around you every day if possible and as much as you can, but you don't need to focus on it. In fact, it's better if you don't. So it's good to have a radio playing in French in the background or to have a podcast in French in your car or something like that. Does what I've said so far make sense? And do you have any questions? I think I have covered almost everything. Do have only a couple of things about how to get started. If you have any questions, please type them in. And yes, so we have point 3 on the worksheet is how to get started. So here are a few things that can help you get started. Like I said, guided tracks can be really helpful. You can find guided tracks in English for everything, and I have listed on the worksheet 4 different YouTube channels that have guided tracks in French for many, many different things. So you can just check them out and be like, oh, this one sounds interesting, I'm gonna try it. That's literally how I choose my meditation tracks. I have a huge amount of meditation tracks that I've collected over the time because I've just bought a lot of them from the creators that I trust. But I also sometimes just open YouTube and be like, oh, okay, meditation for this, and I'm like, oh, this track looks appealing. Sounds like what I need. It's just like, it's something you shouldn't really overthink it. If you take a track and you end up hating it, like you hate how the person sounds, or you just hate the kind of like way that it works, quit it and pick another one. It's just, yeah, it's a bit of trial and error at the beginning. If you can attend a Silva Ultramind seminar, I totally recommend it. And if you can't, there is a version of the Silva Ultramind program that is on Audible, and I found that out recently. I was mind blown because it's the exact same content as the seminar, and it costs only 1 Audible credit, meaning basically $10, I believe. It's €9.90 for me, so quite cheap. An Audible credit, basically. If you're new and you don't have Audible, they will actually give it to you. They will give one credit to you, so you can actually get it for free. I'm not sponsored by Audible. Maybe I should. I should probably get. I should start getting one of those links and tell you we use the link in the description. I don't have a link in the description, but I have linked the Ultramind program on Amazon.com, and you can check it out. It's really, it blew my mind to find that you can literally have the exact same program for €10 or $10 than I spent over €1,000 on, and I still think it was a rather cheap thing given the benefits that I have in my life because of it. It definitely is more valuable to do it in a group and attend a seminar in person. It's not the same thing, but because a lot of it is some meditation exercises, it works pretty well with a recorded program as well. And the last thing that I wanted to recommend to get started, especially if you have a hard time meditating, is to practice mindfulness in your daily life. I do have one of those live class, which is about how to harness altered states of consciousness when learning French. If you have been here for a while, maybe you remember when I gave it. I think it was in January. I have linked it in the worksheet as well, so you can just click the link and watch it next. It's a really good, if I may say so myself, it's a really good way of understanding what is meditation, because one thing that bugs me about meditation is that there seems to be this, like, these people who meditate, who are a bit holier than thou, who they seem to have some sort of like special skill, and like, wow, they can do it, and you can't do it. You're like, nah, you're excluded, you're not good enough, whatever. And it's not at all like that. Like, meditation is not something that someone should attach their ego to. It is, for one thing, it is normal given the pace and the situation that we live in and the kind of society that we live in to not be able to meditate. Like, I would think that it's more normal to not be able to do it than to be able to do it. It took me a lot of training myself and even a lot of actually money spent, like I just told you, to get to a point where I can meditate as much as I want. And to be honest, I'm like, right now, I'm not very happy about my meditation practice. I know that I can do a lot better as well. So it's not something that says like an on or off switch. And it's especially not something that's like there's one like, okay, I'm going to meditate now, although you can do it this way if you want, if that works for you. But it's more of bringing mindfulness into your daily life. And so I made that live class a few months ago to share more about how you can bring a meditative state into your regular life and use it to learn French. Because really what meditation is intentionally lowering your brain waves. So down to the regular state of your brain waves, which normally, if you're listening to this normally, you should be at the beta brainwave level. That's definitely the level that I'm at right now. But if you meditate, you can go down to the alpha level or even the theta level. And that really is what meditation means. Meditation is. But if you live a regular life, your brain will dip into the alpha level from time to time, and you won't even notice. It could happen, for example, when you're driving. Typically, when you're driving, you will have a sort of a relaxed, focused concentration, and that is the kind of state that we are targeting. So I had made that live class back in the days. I strongly recommend it, especially if you can't meditate, to see how you can find ways of integrating these different ways to harness those states of consciousness which are different, rather than being stuck with the idea that, oh, some people can meditate but I can't, because I think that's a very detrimental situation to be in. And quite frankly, we can all meditate. It's just that for some of us it's easier, and some of us know how to access it more easily. But yeah, in between all the things that I have shared today and that other class, I think you have everything to get started, and I would love to take your questions now. If you have any question, not only about meditation, but about really anything linked to French learning, as long as I can answer. Vocabulary questions, verbs questions, grammar questions, culture questions, if you want to try. Yeah, I can answer any question about that. All right, so Linda is saying, it took me freaking ages to get it. A big part of getting it was realizing that it was okay if my mind wandered, just needed to recognize it and bring it back. Oh yeah, really big one. Thank you for mentioning that. One thing that people tend to get wrong, including myself, is you think that if your mind starts racing again or wandering again, then you failed. But the thing is, it's almost impossible to not have your mind wander during meditation, especially if you're trying to do something like breathing meditation or the kind of meditation which is completely still. I think it's less likely to happen with active meditation like the Siva method, even though, to be honest, it still happens to me, and it happens to me a lot lately that my mind just wanders a lot more. I think I have to take again that program to just recalibrate myself, because yeah, I'm totally planning on doing that as soon as possible. I'll try to do it next week, but I don't know if I will have the space for that. It's a bit complicated to find the time and space right now. So if you have any question, I would love to have a chat with you. Please tell me if that was helpful, by the way. I would like to hear some feedback. Did you learn something today? Did I share something that was useful to you? Especially the teachers' pets, like those of you who have been here for a long time, who keep listening to the stuff that I say. I'm trying to keep sharing new things, because yeah, I want to give things that are new, but also easily actionable for you if it's the first time that you're here. That is a bit of a challenge for me, to show up every week with a new topic, newish, and then share new things. I can always find new angles and new ideas, but maybe at some point you hear me repeating a lot. That would be a big difference between those live classes and the French Fluency Accelerator, which contains workshops. Like, it has, I think, 16 workshops and 5 live classes to date. We will have our next live class in 2 weeks. I'm preparing the exercise right now, so if you're a French Fluency Accelerator student, please watch your email box this week, because as soon as I'm done with the preparing the live class, I will send it to you. And then on the 3rd of July, we will meet at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's a Saturday. Yes, that's a Saturday. It used to be on Sundays, but now on Sundays I'm here, so I can't do it anymore. But on the 3rd of July, we will meet and we will discuss the song by Mano, Fest-Noz de Panam. If you have never heard of it, that's normal. But now is actually a good time to sign up for the French Fluency Accelerator if you want to, because we will have this new live class coming up in 2 weeks, and I would strongly recommend signing up a bit ahead of the time of the live class, so you have time to actually prepare it. Because if you sign up the very day before, yes, I will also invite you to the class, but you will lose some of the value by just not having enough time to do the exercises before, because you do the learning when you're looking for answers, and then on the live class we all share the answers together, and that's how we learn. I digressed from the workshops to the live classes, but on the French Accelerator we have workshops, and some of those workshops build on top of each other. So you have the core of the accelerator, which is actually the same as the French Life Launchpad, which is my shorter course, which is only 6 hours shorter. And then you have the other workshops that build on top of that. So it's easier for me to, it's not easier, but the thing is, you are expected to take the workshops, some workshops you would take them first, and others you would take them next. So it's easier for me to build on top of the knowledge, while here every Sunday I have to show up with some things that will be understandable by people, even if they are completely new. So that would be the difference. Also, each time I make a workshop for the French Accelerator, I tend to work for 2 weeks full time on it before it comes together. So there's a lot less rumbling, and there are slides, sometimes more than 100 slides for a workshop. So that would be some of the difference as well. All right, so what do we have here? It's in Connie saying, Stephanie saying, I will keep trying. I believe that's about meditation. Connie saying, it's interesting and I will continue trying. I just don't know enough to know what I don't know to ask questions, if that makes sense. Linda is saying, what happens when you try, Connie? Like, how does it feel for you? Yeah, great question. I would be interested in that as well. You don't know enough to know what you don't know. Yeah, like definitely the next step would be to share what happens when you try, like Linda said, and then we can maybe take it from there. Like the biggest way that meditation fails for me, there are two ways actually. Either I get frustrated with it because I can't quiet myself and I'm just restless. That happens. Or I fall asleep. That happens quite a lot as well. But I don't consider that falling asleep is a bad thing. In fact, just today, I fell asleep during meditation twice. And sometimes it's just that my brain or my body even needs more space, needs just to like rest more. And that's when I'm actually not sleep deprived at all. If you're sleep deprived, you're more likely to fall asleep during meditation or during anything at all. But I'm not sleep deprived. It's just sometimes that my brain needs to integrate more, and I just like I sign off. That happens. I don't consider it to be a failure. Like if I fall asleep, I'm like, okay, that's something I really needed. I tend to repeat that track afterwards. If I get frustrated, I tend to feel a lot more frustrated about myself because I'm frustrated about being frustrated. It's the feedback loop from hell, a concept that was created by Mark Manson, which says that if you have a negative emotion, you are more likely to increase that negative emotion. So you need to break the cycle and be like, okay, like that's okay, that's fine. Like, introduce some self-love and self-forgiveness about it. It's like, well, it will go better the next day. All right, so Connie saying, I don't understand it at all and I feel stupid and get frustrated. Have you tried using some guided meditation tracks where you have direction by someone, like either one of mine or any guided track? Because it's definitely simpler to get started. There might be something with the position of the body. I find that the easiest way to meditate for me is to lie on my back, or it would be generally what's the most comfortable position for you is. I do find that if I'm lying down, of course, it's easier to fall asleep. But like I said, I don't really care. If I'm trying to go for active meditation, like the Silva method, I will either trust myself and lie on my back. And if most of the time I don't fall asleep if I have the intention not to fall asleep, especially if it's an exercise that I already know, like the Silva Sandering exercise, which you're supposed to do every week. But otherwise, that is the entire reason why there is the lotus pose and the cross-legged pose and the kind of like poses that you see that people have in meditation. The reason why those poses exist is because they have to be comfortable enough that you can stay in this position for long, but not so comfortable that you would fall asleep. I have been using this chair as well sometimes. So for me, it's easy to cross my legs. So that's not a problem I have. But if it's easier for you to sit with your feet on the ground, that works as well. But I find that having a chair that supports your neck can be really also useful. So maybe that helps. Okay, Connie's saying I have, so that's got to be about meditation tracks, but I just don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. None of it makes sense. My brain refuses to cooperate. Yeah, that does sound a lot like a mental block. That happens to me sometimes, and I think the times when I get frustrated about meditating, it's because of a mental block that I am currently somehow processing and working through. Now, if you have been trying for a long time and it never works, yeah, that is an issue. And I don't even know that recommending energy clearing to you would be so great, because I mean, I would bring this kind of thing to my healer, but also my healer uses a meditation state to solve it. So if you can't get in there, it's tricky. You're not supposed to be doing anything really. You're just supposed to breathe and follow the instruction, like focus on your breath or something like that. Stephanie is saying, Connie, have you tried to focus on your breath or counting? That gives your brain one thing to focus on, and that might help. Yeah, that can help. I mean, the most basic meditation is focusing on your breath. So, you know, breathe in and breathe out and breathe in. And sometimes you can count your breath as well. It's like, you know, breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold it out. That's something you can be doing. Lori says, a saying I use to motivate myself is the usefulness of a glass is in its emptiness. There you have it, Connie. Like when Connie's saying, when my brain relaxes, it goes places I don't want it to. Okay, so this is the 100% the reason why you can't meditate. It's because it's actually that is a fascinating thing. I understand that it's really frustrating for you, but that's. I heard a way of saying it that was from Kuroshike, which creates a podcast about cryptocurrency, which is called Market Meditations. And he said that being able to be alone in a room and to sit quietly alone in a room is a superpower. And the reason was that thing that you mentioned, that if you, like some people just literally can never be alone, because if they're alone, they will be alone with their thoughts and they will think of things that they don't want to think about. And that is your challenge, basically. That is the thing that you need to overcome. Very often when I do energy clearing or I try to do meditation to resolve my mental block, it happens that I have things coming up, and not so much thoughts, but more like feelings, like things like guilt or shame, or like sometimes it's so ingrained that I don't even know why I have those feelings. Like lately, I have something that has been coming up a lot, particularly when doing yoga. I found yoga tracks on YouTube that were by Yoga with Adrienne. One of them was yoga for the spine, and the other one was yoga for depression. I somehow had an intuition to Google that. And while I was practicing those things, I had such a feeling of extreme sadness. And it's really, really weird when you're sad to the point that nothing and no thought can console you. Nothing can make it better, but you don't know why. And that is extremely unsettling. But when I have that, I'm like, okay, like I know this is my emotions that have been stored in my body at some point. I don't know when. I don't need to know when. I just need to feel through it and eventually let it go. When I do that, it works. But the thing is, it's not easy. And it's so uneasy that I spend most of my time actually avoiding those moments. And I don't realize most of the time that I'm avoiding it. But if I'm not able to meditate, it's 100% something like that. It's because I have some sort of feeling or some sort of memory or something that's hidden somewhere, in my body or in my cell. Like it has been actually scientifically proven that your memories are not in your brain, but in everywhere in your body. So you could have actually your entire brain taken out and just you could keep just your brain stem, so you could keep functioning and have your entire brain taken out, and you would still have your memories, which is scary when you think about it. And how they found it out, by the way, is by doing it to rats. Of course, it would be very unethical to do it to humans, but there was this fascinating study where researchers taught rats how to navigate a maze, and then they gradually removed parts of the rat's brain to see at which point they would forget how to navigate the maze because they thought that the memories were stored somewhere in the brain. And they expected that at some point they would take out the right part of the brain that had the memory of the maze, and then they would forget the maze. That would make sense. But it never happened until the whole brain was gone, and just with the brainstem, which, if you remove the brainstem, the rat dies, basically, because this is a basic functioning. But even with their whole brain gone, the rats still knew the maze. So that's kind of scary. That means like your memories are stored everywhere, in every cell, sort of, in every connections between all the circulating neurons and everything. So you can't really get rid of your memories unless you die, but you can only reprocess them. It's scary. It's quite simple, but it's not easy at all. So I'm totally here with you. So yeah. Connie saying more. I know the reason for my sadness and my inability to let my mind rest. It doesn't help by knowing it. I am not sure I am a candidate. Whether or not you're a candidate really depends on your willingness. I do find that when you have something really heavy, like in your case, it can be something that's extremely difficult to do on your own. And I would not play God by telling people to just go and pick whichever self-help method or meditation technique to try and fix it themselves, because sometimes it's too much. It can be just too much for you as a person. So it could be really helpful to have a skilled therapist which you trust, to help you with that. So I don't know if you have someone. It can be very difficult to find a therapist who is both kind and competent. I know that can be a really big minefield, so I'm really sorry about that. It was also very difficult for me to find people who were able to help me. I did find my healer, which I always speak about because she's amazing. I found her completely randomly. I was not looking out for a therapist. I just happened to meet her in an online course that we were both taking, and then we had a chat. I did not at all at the time believe in energy clearing. I had very little experience of meditation. That was like 4 years ago. And yeah, at the time I was actually, it's funny how we started working together, because at that time I was exhausted all the time. I was just always tired and I didn't know why. And I told her about it, and she was like, yeah, that sounds like a perfect candidate case for energy clearing or for energy healing, which was what she called it at the time. And I was like, you got to be kidding. Like, I'm tired all the time. Like, how long would it take you to help me fix that? And she was like, 1 session. And I was like, okay, that makes 0 sense. That cannot be. It's impossible. But you seem so confident. It's not even very expensive. I'm willing to put down that amount of money just to, find out if what you say is genuine. And yeah, it was. Like, she just helped me fix. Like, I wouldn't say that she fixed it, because it's not like she fixes people. It's the person who's doing the work. Like, she's always insisting that I'm doing the work myself. Wait, so okay, when I look her name up, I will find her site, because she seems to have homonyms. Yes, this is her, jackiemcginn.com. Here. Yeah, you can check her out. In the French Fluency Accelerator, if you remember, there is a bonus track that was made by her, which she made on purpose to help people learn French or open their mind more and be able to learn more French. I asked her to make this track because I think that she's an amazing hypnotherapist, and I have had really good feedback from my students about that track. By the way, that track will also be a bonus to the, what did we call it? I think it's Manifesting French Fluency. That will be the name of the new course, which is about manifesting, all the manifesting techniques that you can use for French. And that track will also be a bonus in that new course. So please stay tuned for that. Please open your emails when I am emailing you, because then you'll find all this information. Or if you're not on Telegram yet, please join the Telegram channel. That is where you find all the worksheets. One thing that I love about Telegram is that it stores the it stores the documents. So if you haven't, if you are watching one of those live classes, one of those live videos on YouTube, like later on, and you haven't had the worksheet, you cannot find it by being on my email list, because the email list it is sent to the email list once, and then if you don't have it, you don't have it. But if you're on Telegram, you can always find it, and that is really cool. For the record, there was not always the worksheets. I just added them rather recently, I think 2 months ago. So the live class that I mentioned about altered states does not have a worksheet, but it's okay. You can still watch it and get the information from it. So if you have any question about learning French in general or anything, I'm happy to answer more questions. I do have 15 minutes left, so we have plenty of time to look into more French learning, or if you have any question about meditation that I can answer, because again, I'm also not a specialist. I'm just someone who is genuinely curious of that field and likes to throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. Just like I did with my heater, she was so sure that she could fix it, and I was like, "Okay, you sound confident. Let's try it." And that's literally how this whole adventure started, and that is why 3-4 years later, I still work with her, because yeah, it works. And same thing for meditation, and particularly the Silva method. So I will keep making tracks for this channel, and I hope that I will keep getting your feedback in the comments of those tracks. By the way, if you are watching the replay, the comment section is also here for you. I know I should have said that at the beginning, but I hope you know the story by now. I would love to get your feedback and have you share your experience with meditation, even if you haven't been able to make it live. I do know from the statistics of this channel that there are more people watching the replays than people who can make it live. So the comment section is here for you. I'll happily answer any question you have, or just say hi and share your feedback and your experience in the comments. All right. So I know that we still have 5 or 6 people watching. So if there's anything you would like me to talk about, the live chat is here for you. If you don't have this yet, I've created something which is called the French Fluency Starter Kit, and it is free. You can have the link in the description below. These are 2 of the things that you will find in the starter kit, because those are the 2 things that I mentioned the most. But the starter kit also contains the meditation tracks that I have mentioned before, and a link to my Telegram channel, which is really the place to be lately. This fluency worksheet is the simplest way that you can use my method, because the core of my method is really to identify what to learn, because the best way to learn French fast is to actually learn a lot less French. It makes sense, right? If you learn just what you need, instead of kind of randomly learning everything you can learn, you will get where you want to be a lot faster. But the challenge is that you need to first know where you want to go in all of the little details. So for every new person who works one-on-one with me, I create a thing that is called the roadmap to fluency. I can actually show you a roadmap to fluency if you want. I should have had it on the table before. So this is what it looks like. It's 3 pages, and I make them, this is always unique for each client. So this is one that was created for a particular client, but you always have a routine, a list of tasks, and some handpicked resources that I have found for the person based on their personal hobbies. So that's what I make for my clients. It does take me a couple of hours to make this every time, but the core of it, you can make it for yourself with the French Fluency worksheet, and this is free. And if you want to have a more elaborate version, you can also join the French Life Launchpad, which has 3 modules, and each module corresponds to one of these pages, and then you can make one for yourself, or you can work one-on-one with me. I still have, I think, 3 spots right now, depending on whether you can work one-on-one with me 1 hour per week or 2 hours per week. So I have approximately 3 spots depending on how many hours people want. I want to insist that I'm a French coach, so it's better to not expect me to be your end-all, be-all, but also to seek out French interaction. So I'm more like your base, where you can come back to me and ask any questions, a little bit like we do it live here, but you have 1 hour or even 2 hours a week with just me, and that's when I really make you speak French. And I see where you're at with the grammar. I can also give you grammar exercises if it's relevant, or written exercises if it's relevant. So yeah, but the goal isn't so much to have you speak French just with me, but to be able to build your French skills for your next life. I was about to say next life. For your current life, the French skills that you need. So that's the whole point. And Connie is saying the Launchpad is very informative and it is really worth the cost. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate your feedback. That is cool. Thank you. Yeah, so that's what the French Life Launchpad does. It's a lot cheaper than having it done by me, and for most people, it will be enough. And then after you've gone through the French Life Launchpad, you can, or before, you can decide to join the French Fluency Accelerator. The French Fluency Accelerator has 3 workshops at the beginning that are the exact same as the French Life Launchpad. Basically, the Launchpad is extracted from the French Fluency Accelerator. but then it has new content every month. And like I was saying, we have 16 workshops to date and some 5 French live classes, and the 6th one will be in 2 weeks. But if you want to get started for free, the French Fluency worksheet is here for you. It's the most basic way that I could scale down that method, which consists really in identifying the things that you want to learn and then learning those things. That's why you want to have this list. Here, of course, it's blank because it's a different list for each person. But if I make it for you when we work together, that will be, of course, completely full because I will make it for you. Another thing that I really appreciate, which is part of the I made it, to be honest, and I made it for a reason. This is part of the French Fluency Starter Kit as well, so you can get it for free. It's called Vocabulary Magic, and it explains the things that you want to do, the way to learn French vocabulary. So the first thing to do with French vocabulary is to identify if you need it or not, because if you don't need it, trash it, it's not worth it. But then you can use this as a way to know how to work with it. So there's do's and don'ts of the vocabulary notebook. I've also shown that in a previous live class, actually probably 2. There's one which has vocabulary boss on the thumbnail. So you can watch this one if you haven't yet, but it shows the kind of things that you want to learn, the little peripherals that have to do with the vocabulary word, because if you learn a word alone, it's not as valuable, or it's actually hardly valuable at all. What you want is to know exactly the things to learn. So there's a page for verbs and a page for adjectives. And so you can get all of that with just one click. No, actually, that will be a couple more clicks because you have to enter your email address. But I want to say that it's free and you can get the French Fluency Starter Kit, and then you will be on my email list. Please click that you accept to receive more communication if the option is offered to you, so that I can send it to you. And then I will send you the information the worksheet per email every week on Friday. And I will send you also everything else that I have going on. So there will be a new course coming up soon, and there is a new live class in the French Accelerator. So we still have a couple more minutes. I haven't received any more questions right now. You do have 6 minutes left to type in your questions, or any feedback that we would like to give us. It's just me. I don't know why I'm speaking about myself in plural. Sometimes I say us because of the team, because I have Linda helping me, and we also have Anne, our assistant. So that's 3 of us, but it's right now just me talking. Cool. It's very hot here in Vienna, in case you can't tell. My brain is starting to heat up. If you do not have any questions, I have one. Tell me what you like to use for your French bath. What is the kind of content, what is the kind of series, YouTube videos, podcasts that you like to listen to on your French bath? Maybe you will share things that I don't know, and especially you might share things that your other colleagues don't know, so that would be cool. Linda is saying it's the surface of the sun here too. Yeah, it's really hot. I think it's 32 degrees today. I did put some cold water on myself before I started, but by now it's completely evaporated and I'm just started to profusely sweat. And it still is the month of June. I don't know what it will be in August. It's kind of scary. But we'll see. We don't really have a way of, we just have to stick through it, right? Okay, so Stephanie's saying, I started watching Lupin on Netflix and listening to French music on Spotify. Good ones, yeah. I haven't watched Lupin yet because I have a love-hate relationship with Netflix. So I spend most of my time not having a Netflix account, but as soon as I get one back, I'll definitely watch Lupin because I've heard lots of great things about it. And it seems to be an interesting series. But what happens with Netflix is that I take like 1 month and I watch 1 or 2 series, then I realize it takes way too much time out of my schedule, so I quit and I wait a couple more months until I just decide to get back onto the Netflix bandwagon, and then I watch a few more series and I'm like, takes too much time. I have this like cycle of Netflix. Linda is saying, oh, Lupin is awesome. I was so happy they put up the 2nd series. Yes, yeah, I think they have 2 seasons now. Another series that I hear great things about is called Call My Agent. I think it's a bit older, but if you haven't watched it, it's probably good. Stephanie, it's so great I've started reading the subtitles because I got pulled into the show. So do you watch it in French with English subtitles? Or I think, and I'm pretty sure I've already spoken about that in the past, but there are like 4 steps of watching actually, it would be better to call it free. So let's say step 0, 1, 2, 3 of watching French content. So the step 0 would be when you watch it with like dubbed in English, or worse, you watch like the English remake. Then step 1 would be when you watch it in French with English subtitles. And there's actually, like, I want to insist that there's nothing wrong with watching a French series with English subtitles. You still get something out of having the French in your environment. I don't think it actively teaches you a lot, but it does train your brain to have French around. And that is the most crucial step. I mean, I don't know if it's the most crucial, but it's one of the crucial steps. Like, if you don't have French around you, you will never learn French. Like, I think I can be very categoric about this. Your brain is trained to learn the language that is around you. So if you don't have French around you, you can do all the Duolingo and go to all the classes and everything that you want. If you like, your brain is just not going to see the point because it's not a language that's around you. But if you have French around you, then everything that you do to learn it will compound. So French with English subtitles is very powerful because of that. Now, after you have made a bit more progress, you can move on to French with French subtitles. And now we are talking, because you have it exclusively in French, so it's a full immersion. But one point of this stage, French with English subtitles, is that you can actually do it with friends as well. If you have friends who aren't learning French, you can still be watching, or friends or family, your husbands or whoever is with you. You can also watch it together, so that can be a social thing. Once you have French with French subtitles, that only requires you to be with yourself and maybe some friends who are learning French, but it's a bit more tricky. And then finally, you have a stage where you can watch it in French with no subtitles. And at this point, you can consider that you've reached the holy grail of French learning, if you understand everything with no subtitles. I would still recommend watching, for example, French videos on YouTube, even without subtitles, and even if you don't understand much, because that's the point of just training your brain to not understand everything. Like, even for myself, when I watch something in English, I think English is not the best example because my English is pretty good, but I could watch something that is made by some, for example, American people who have a particular accent that I'm not used to hearing, and I will not understand everything. So, for example, I love the series Young Sheldon. It's one of my favorite series to watch. But the thing is, it's in Texas, it's set in the 80s, and the way that they talk is really challenging for me to understand. But if I relax and if I don't get quote unquote offended by the fact that I don't understand some of the words, I can enjoy the series really well. And that's really something, it's almost like a state of mind to get yourself in, to be able to understand, not just understand, but just enjoy watching something, even if you don't understand all the words. And it's almost like a superpower. Like, and you can get to this state and you're like, oh, I don't understand most of it, but it doesn't matter. Like, I can enjoy watching it. So I really recommend doing that, even if the thing that you're watching doesn't have an English version or an English subtitle version, or even French subtitles. Just train yourself to do that. That will be so powerful for your French learning. Okay, so more input from Linda is, I listened to a few podcasts, Learn French Conversation, One Thing in a French Day. Oh, I don't know this one. I have to check it out. I've been a huge fan of Call My Agent. I've rewatched it 1,000,000 times. It's also a good idea to rewatch things more than once, because then you can get more from it every time you learn it, because you can't possibly remember everything the first time around. I have satellite radio in my car, and I listen to 163, which is French pop music from Canada. Ooh, nice tip. Thanks, Linda. Friday, I'll be listening for 10 hours on my drive to Florida. That sounds like a really good French bath. 10 hours. Good job. Do that. On YouTube, I go to sleep at night listening to Mike Meditation, which you have a link to on your worksheet. I also have a few channels that are about knitting or sewing or cooking. Yeah, amazing. So I've made already a live class about daily French bath. But yeah, the whole idea is to find the YouTube channels that are about the things that you like. So for Linda, she likes knitting and sewing and cooking. For you, it might be something different. But it's really finding the channels that you like. Lately, I've been binge watching a channel that's called Le Vortex. And it's really cool because they pretend to be a flat share with several French YouTubers that have each a domain of expertise. And they are mostly scientists. There's one biologist in there. There's one guy who's into, I forgot everything they do. There's one linguistics expert. There's one marketing and copywriting experts. And then the girls, there is one archaeologist, one historian, there's one lawyer in there. And they aren't all in every episode, but every episode has a topic, and then they bring their and they bring their own expertise to that topic to explain it to us. So it's really interesting. I don't think it has English subtitles. It's a bit complex, but yeah, it's really, really interesting. So if your French is advanced, I definitely recommend that. All right, so it's been 1 hour. It was absolutely delightful to be seeing you again today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to splash some cold water on my face because it is really hot. But thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next Sunday. The topic for next Sunday is French learning apps and how to use them. So look forward to speaking about that. And yeah, final thought of the day from Lore: quiet the mind and the soul we speak. Mayaya Sadi Bhagavati. Thank you so much for sharing this quote. This is an amazing quote. Great way to end it. So thank you guys for being here. I look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Bye. Au revoir.